And I'd really like to see us focus on growing that community and getting it really popping off so that we can all benefit from a lively community of people who are well connected in the space. So this beautiful year, 2023, is going to have a lot of building, a lot of useful restructuring, a lot of people taking steps back and saying, hey, what worked, what didn't work. And, I'm certainly face first in that whole conversation. So our first story today is pretty interesting. I don't think anyone's surprised by this, but I'm really encouraged to see this. It looks like, look at my screen looking not stupid. So it looks like Elon Musk does want Twitter payment systems built on crypto. So specifically, Elon picked up Twitter. He's focusing on building it out, and we already got those NFT integrations that recently launched. So now you can have like your NFTs natively displayed as your profile picture, and you can have that connect automatically to marketplaces. So that's a huge step in the right direction of not just talking, but actually building to that roadmap. So let's read the news. Elon Musk wants Twitter payment system built on crypto in mind. Twitter's upcoming payment tool will initially support only fiat currencies, but Elon Musk wants it built to potentially support crypto in the future. Twitter chief Elon Musk has reportedly instructed his developers to build the payment platform system in such a way that crypto functionality can be added in the future. That's smart. According to January 30th Financial Times report, two people familiar with Twitter's plans said that the payment feature will support fiat currencies to start and will build to accommodate cryptocurrencies should the opportunity arise. The opportunity will arise, I'm sure. If Square and Cash already have, if Square and Cash already have crypto integrated, like I'm pretty sure Twitter can come along for the ride, right? So buying Twitter is an accelerant to creating X, the everything app. Okay. So Elon has talked about some of Jack Dorsey's ideas too of taking Twitter and creating it into protocol, not just a platform, not just a software application, but actually creating protocol. I think that's very forward thinking. I think we're going to see a big rise in the next 5 years or so of people really defining what protocols are needed and testing them out and seeing if we can't build them out to where they offer so much value that people begin adopting them and integrating them into their own applications. So we've already seen Bitcoin, the first of the Web3 protocols, actually take root. People are using it. It does act as a store of value. You can send money to and from. The transaction fees are no longer hideous like they used to be for 2017 or what have you. So I think people get it. I think people get that Bitcoin is that protocol, but there are iterations on that Bitcoin protocol, right? There's Ethereum, which was meant to add what's called full Turing logic, and so Ethereum as a concept can actually run full sophisticated programs. It just won't be cheap. That's the caveat. It's capable of it, but it won't be cheap. And so a lot of other people didn't like how Ethereum was structured. And so we saw other platforms pop up and make their tweaks to it, either to make it faster or make it more decentralized, focused on proof of work, since Ethereum went proof of stake. There's a lot of variables that people have tweaked, but I want us to pay attention as a community to what protocols are popping up. Do they do the things they say they should be able to do? Because that's a big key. If they're promising, they do a lot of things, but when we test them, they don't. They better have a roadmap item to resolve that. Otherwise, I think we should pay attention to other protocols that are developing the roadmaps accordingly, right? So, however, it's remained vague as to whether these payments will involve Bitcoin or crypto technologies, despite the Twitter CEO seeing a big role for crypto on Twitter. In early December, images were leaked revealing Twitter coins. a secret in development digital asset to be used for payments and tipping on the platform. Sounds a lot like Dogecoin. With many hopeful it would involve crypto in some way. For anyone who doesn't know, Doge was specifically made for people to tip on Reddit. So if someone contributes to a conversation in a meaningful way, you can say, "Hey, man, thanks for answering my question so quick. Here's some Dogecoin," and it was meant just to be highly transactional, something just to say, "Hey, thanks for contributing," and to incentivize people to, stop shit posting so much and to actually provide value. So, just background there. However, more recent leaked images of the project in early January made no mention of crypto or blockchain technology, much to the dismay of the community. Unconfirmed rumors also emerged last October that Twitter was working on a wallet prototype that would support crypto deposits and withdrawals. However, it appears from the time being, crypto payment system will go ahead and only support fiat. So to that end, Twitter has begun the application process for state-based regulatory licensing across the United States that would allow it to introduce payments to the platform. One of the sources said that the company hopes the U.S. licensing process will be completed within a year. Well, that's hopeful. We've seen we've seen financial licensing take a lot longer than that, but who knows? In November, the Twitter Payment LLC registered with the U.S. Treasury's Department Finance. I can't read today. With the U.S. Treasury's Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. That sounds fun. The FinCEN, which would allow it to process payments. So in Twitter Space event around the same time, Musk said he envisioned allowing bank accounts to be connected to Twitter profiles and incorporating debit cards along with the platform being able to facilitate money transfers. That'd be awesome, actually. If people have on ramps and off ramps from their traditional like ACH banking accounts to crypto off and on, like that's huge. And that's actually an area that we're seeing more regulation start to really bite down. The regulations on Binance, I mean, it's so that people with smaller over-the-counter buys and smaller crypto to bank account deposits, that won't be allowed. It was cranked up, so you have to have even more money. I actually think that's potentially discriminatory against people who are just getting into the space. So I think that that's an intentional slight against this whole community. So following the future approval of U.S. licenses, Twitter would eye gaining regulatory approval internationally, according to one of the Financial Times sources. So they're trying to go international with this. That's an encouraging article, I think, to see that we do have infrastructure being built throughout this space. People are honestly building. It's not just talk. So how's everyone doing this morning, by the way? I know last week we were at the Christians Web3 conference, interviewing a whole bunch of people and seeing what some of those Christians are up to in Web3, and met a lot of cool people. It was encouraging to meet so many people with big visions for the space, and they're actually hands-on keyboard building stuff. There was a lot of there was one NFT project that the actor who plays I won't spoil it. One of the actors in Lord of the Rings, the actual movies, is supporting one of these NFT projects. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. Well, moving on. Let's get into Ripple Nipple. I know everyone loves Ripple. It's their favorite cryptocurrency. It's a bastion for hope in a decentralized space. If you love centralized systems, just a small background on Ripple. There's a company called Ripple. And then there is the protocol called XRP. So the same people built XRP own the company Ripple, and they gifted 80% of the entire network supply to the company Ripple. So this company Ripple owns 80% of all of the cryptocurrencies to ever be minted on XRP. So I don't think so many people understand how truly centralized Ripple is. Those people could choose to allow part of that 80% into the supply. They could freeze it and make you spend everything, and then whenever it's convenient, they can pump a bunch into the space. So I don't really like the amount of whaling they've just architected themselves to have. But that being said, their intention is to be regulatory friendly for banking institutions. So the big idea is that banks could use a blockchain infrastructure, and it is distributed. I people often argue about decentralization versus distributed systems. From my perspective, the white paper says that Ripple is a decentralized infrastructure, but even if you had a decentralized infrastructure, if 80% of the tokens are held by the same person, you're already over 51% attack, so I think it's just a caveat. So anyways, Ripple's important because it is interfacing with how we handle regulation. They're really trying to drive the narrative. They're trying to work directly with governing bodies to define exactly what we do and don't do. And so, yeah, Indo, exactly. This is the government's token, yo. That's great. It is though. So this is relevant to us because it informs other things that we will be given blessing to do or be told not to do. So I think we should pay attention and be informed with where this is going, but I don't think we need to panic. I don't think we need to hold big bags of Ripple. Not financial advice. I'm sure you can make all kinds of money off of things that aren't really sustainable long term or aren't aligned with Bitcoin's vision. But make your money, man. So to read, LBC's token, the native asset of LBRY blockchain, suddenly jumped nearly 140% after the details of its January 30th hearing surfaced online. Anders, a crypto enthusiast, shared a screenshot from CoinMarketCap showing the price increased. I guess the market liked the LBRY meeting yesterday. Yeah, these are some like bull market altcoin numbers, 24 hours making 139%. Interesting. At the time of the writing, the LBRY credits, LBC token is up 63% at 0.023 cents. As some of its intraday gains had erased, its trading volume also shot up 366% as traders jumped into the recent volatility. Attorney Jeremy Hogan, who also noted that the price increased on Twitter, he said he agrees with a user's point of view that LBRY was pumping because the judge mentioned secondary market sales were outside of his ruling. Oh, I see. Details of January 30th hearing. As had its final hearing on January 30th as it sought clarity on users' secondary market sales and SEC remedies. Crypto Law founder John Deaton, who filed an amicus brief in the case as well as made an appearance in the hearing, shared the details of what transpired in court. In a long thread of tweets, Deaton revealed that the judge made it crystal clear that his ruling did not apply to secondary sales of LBC. He said, when you think about it, if the token itself were a security, then his ruling would apply to secondary sales because it would always be a security. The founder of Crypto Law stated that the judge admitted he was frustrated with the SEC and pleaded with them to give clarity. Good luck on that. But he said they will not. Deaton pleaded with the judge to clarify his ruling because it was interpreted to include secondary sales. Interesting. The judge replied that he would make it very clear that his order does not include secondary sales. That's a cop out. He then forced the SEC to agree that they were not pushing for that. Deaton further pleaded, Judge, if you could also consider adding language that the token itself is not the security, because though it goes without saying, it would provide additional clarity, or words to that effect. LBRY lost in summary judgment to the SEC as the judge ruled that the initial sales of the LBC tokens constituted a securities offering, right? While the company is happy with the recent turn of events at the hearing, it says it still does not consider it a major win until third parties stop being terrified of interacting with LBC tokens because of the SEC. So why is this relevant to you? Well, it is. LBRY is a Web3 platform that allows you to store data. It works similar to Interplanetary File System, or IPFS. That's how a lot of your NFTs on like OpenSea are being stored and presented. So again, I was talking about protocol earlier. We have to pay attention to what protocols are being developed and approved, because we should be building on ones once we have clear confidence, and we should be dabbling with them prior to. That way we just have a level of sophistication, a level of understanding with these tools before we get the okey doke. And then even if like the tool you were dabbling with doesn't stick, what's still going to stick is, the fact that the pattern exists. So like the way Interplanetary File System handles files, if IPFS goes away, you're still going to see some other tool pop up where it's probably going to follow the similar pattern, have small tweaks to it, and you're going to understand like the concept of technology. So like for me, for example, if I learn Microsoft's Office 365 and then I work for another company that has a Google environment, well, Google Workspace or whatever it's called, it works the same way. Like you still have, your cloud storage, you still have your email, you still have the protocols that make the email work. You still have the concept of sharing to groups versus sharing to individuals, for like file sharing security. So like those patterns exist regardless of the platform you apply it to. This is how I want us to think about things like Interplanetary File System and things like, LBRY here in this. So, and what's up? We got JV. What's up, brother? Good morning to you. And Indo saying, damn, so could the FCC reverse the ruling? Man, they're jerking everyone around right now. I don't feel like they intend to actually provide clarity. I think they intend to provide the illusion of gaining clarity. But I don't know, like when you have some individuals like the Pelosi's, for example, involved, it seems like there's a lot of money to be made jerking people around and knowing small pumps before they're going to happen so you can get into position. I'm suspicious of that type of activity, to be perfectly honest. I think that there's some people who get in good, and they know that if they provide clarity, they don't make a ton of money. They provide clarity, or they make their money while clarity is being feigned, not actually being achieved, right? Well, everyone knows that Jim Cramer, he's like the joke in this space is he's the Oracle. He's the dude on mainstream media who pops up and makes sorry. He makes these claims like, oh, we're in a bull market, oh, we're in a bear market, and he acts like he's so sure, and the exact opposite of whatever this dude says happens. So a lot of people actually bet just inverted in whatever he says. So that's what this article is about. So in brief, Jim Cramer declares bull market. Is it time to sell? So what's up, Boston? Good morning to you. So in brief, Jim Cramer cited the market's ability to continue its upward trajectory despite recent stock pullbacks as evidence of the bull market's strength. Okay, but The market saw solid gains, with the S&P 500 posting its best January performance since 2019, and Bitcoin closing January with 40% gains. Yeah, like that's the metric you cut. And Cramer warned against betting against the market and advised investors to take advantage of any dips, as the long-term perspective for stocks remain positive. So let's get into this. This guy's a weasel. This guy is such a weasel. Jim Cramer, the well-known financial commentator and host of CNBC's Mad Money, has issued a bullish outlook for the market. The American television personality stated that investors should embrace the current market conditions and view any declines as opportunities to buy on a dip. Entering a bull market. So in recent appearance on CNBC, Jim Cramer emphasized the importance of preparing for down days in a bull market, as they can offer valuable buying opportunities for investors. He noted that the market's ability to continue its upward trajectory despite recent stock pullbacks is a clear indication that the bull market still has room to run. I think that's a little too soon to call this a bull run, but okay. On Tuesday, the market delivered solid gains, with S&P 500 reaching its best January performance since 2019. The Nasdaq Composite posting its best January since goes back since 2001, and Bitcoin closing January with 40% gains. Strong corporate earnings and softer than expected inflation data have been credited with driving these positive results, and Cramer believes that these results demonstrate that high-quality stocks will continue to rebound even in the face of short-term market fluctuations. Yeah. He doesn't know anything. This guy's not an expert. He just goes on TV and shakes his head really fast like he's confident. Cramer also cautioned against betting against the markets, noting that even if stocks do not reverse course immediately, they will always be another opportunity for investors to take advantage of in the future. That's true, though. With the market in bull mode, now is the time for investors to remain optimistic and take advantage of any dips, as the long-term prospect for stocks remain bright. That's what you think. Is it time to sell? Although Jim Cramer is well known for his market analysis predictions, some investors argue that he has a tendency to fail, true, in his market predictions. This guy, if you were to like put your fingers like on the back of his belt, just pull back, you just see tons of turds right in his diaper. Like, this dude shits his pants constantly. Firstly, Cramer's approach to the market analysis is often considered too sensational and focused on short-term gains. Absolutely. Rather than a more measured and long-term view. This can lead to impulsive and inaccurate predictions, as he may be influenced by emotional responses due to market movements. So additionally, some critics argue that his past experience as a hedge fund manager may have skewed his understanding of the markets and led him to prioritize his own financial interests over his viewers. Yeah, you think? Goodness. Inverse Jim Cramer ETF. This by the way, if you don't follow that Twitter, it's really good. So CNBC, Jim Cramer's Investing Club, profitable trades. This folder is empty. Just flaming the dude. Yeah, exactly. JV knows. Do the opposite of Cramer. Just do the opposite, man. So his approach to market analysis has been criticized for being based on anecdotal evidence rather than rigorous data analysis and economic research. This lack of systematic approach can result in predictions that are not backed up by evidence and are therefore less reliable. That's a kind way of putting it. That's a good way of putting that. So, look, if you have a big market and it's full of people and they're all buying in, who makes money? Well, whoever makes money is the person leaving the table while it's high, right? This whole concept of buy low, sell high. If everyone sells high, what happens? The high gets lower and lower and lower until someone didn't sell high. So, what does this mean? It means look at the general market sentiment and consider are unsophisticated, new people in the space, I should say, are they buying or selling? Do they have a sense of fear of missing out, or do they have a sense of um, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and like, I don't know, man, should I get out? So that's why I absolutely love having close friends who are just like oblivious to the space, because if they start talking to me, that tells me that's what like general market sentiment is. That's really what like people who aren't hanging out here on Crypto and Coffee in the morning, that like that's what those people are thinking, because they're not paying attention to the regular news cycle. They're not paying attention to the regular price action, and they're either completely salivating at the mouth, or they actually are starting to shake in their boots a little bit and figure out, how do I not get wrecked like my homie Jimmy, right? So yeah, make sure you have a diverse group of people around you, so you can kind of catch those notes, and we'll do our best to let you know. But personally, I am neither bullish nor bearish. I think we're going to see a lot of sideways movement. Personally, not financial advice, but I'm just not convinced that the market's made up its mind up or down yet. I think we're going to be trying to figure that out, and it's waiting for some big news article, and that's why we're covering this news on a regular basis. So, our next article, the SEC settles on security claim in a library case. Community calls is a big win for crypto. So this is the second article on this topic that's popped up, and I think it's encouraging if you see the same topic being talked about in multiple places, because it means that that's really killer news. It's not just like something that's covered by one person, and so it does seem that it's a big win for crypto. And if we were to go through this to see what other details this gleans, um, looks like the SEC was awarded summary judgment in its favor, November 7th, 2022 hearing. The judgment categorized each sale of LBC's tokens during a 6-year period as an investment contract, without going into detail about the transaction's specifics. The SEC hoped in advance its effort to gain legitimacy in the secondary market and bring it under its purview as well. The SEC has asked the New Hampshire District Court judge to affirm the wide ambiguous injunction prohibiting its sale. Deaton, who represented tech journalist Naomi Brockwell as an amicus curiae, I probably said that wrong, sought clarity for LBC's secondary market transactions because he found the injunction ambiguous and broad. And amicus curiae is an individual or organization that is not a party to a legal case, but is permitted to assist a court by offering information, expertise, or insight that has a bearing on the issues of the case. Yeah, check Indo. He's like, I'm just waiting to see what happens in March. Yeah, I as we get closer to the Bitcoin halving, I think pressure cranks up, honestly. Deaton cited a paper by commercial contract attorney Louis Cohen that examined all security lawsuits in the U.S. since SEC versus W.J. Howie case. No court acknowledges that the underlying asset was security at any point through Cohen's examination of security cases. Yeah, so this is like the type of conversation we're going to have over and over again. This is what's called the Howie test, right? Where you just look, does it have a CEO? Okay. Was a broker, like a third party, being used to help sell tokens that were fundraising for the platform? If so, it's a security. Like that's how it cuts. And the way that a lot of these people are running things, like they have a CEO and they do like an initial coin offering. They sell a bunch of coins with a roadmap. People buy them thinking that once this is worth something, they can sell them and they make a bunch of money off that. And in the meantime, they basically did fundraising for the platform under a promise that they'll deliver. And so like that's what a security is, right? Yeah. So first word from SEC versus library hearing. The SEC admitted on record, I clicked on something, that the token itself is not a security. Good job, Mr. Deaton. I'm fascinated to know how the SEC denoted that. Yeah, if the SEC admitted library isn't a security, then they know for sure XRP is definitely not a security. So these are the types of details people bullish on platforms like Ripple, XRP are paying attention to. They're looking for like any. It's almost like a poker game. They're looking at everyone's face, trying to see if anyone's going to crack. Because if they end up showing whether they have a strong hand or a weak hand, like you can kind of bet against that, and that's what people are hoping is truthful. That's going to kill the SEC court case against XRP. Could this force a settlement? Yeah, I don't know. So I don't really think that this gives us a ton of clarity, but I think we need to keep paying attention to this case and how it develops, to be sure. So next article, the Bitcoinist. XRP lawyer scores crucial victory for Ripple in crypto. So this is on that same track we've been running on, right? Like, how is the SEC ruling on these different cases? Because there's nuance between all these platforms. They're not all the same, but anything that they do give like a concrete direction for on one is going to give, sort of a hand tip on a poker table for the other. So even though the legal battle between Ripple and U.S. Securities Exchange Commission was not heard yesterday, Ripple XRP and the entire crypto industry won an important partial victory in its fight against the SEC's overreaching regulation by enforcement. Thanks to attorney John E. Deaton in yesterday's appeal hearing, the SEC sought an affirmation from the New Hampshire District Court judge issuing a broad, vague injunction against the sale of library token, in which the token itself becomes a security, bringing the secondary market sales under the SEC's jurisdiction. This could not be the only, or this could not only be disastrous for XRP sales in the secondary market, but for all cryptocurrency sales except for Bitcoin, which has already been declared a non-security by the SEC. So pause button. Let's talk about that. Bitcoin has already received regulatory clarity. Bitcoin is not a security. So if you're not more bullish on Bitcoin than you are on these other platforms, I would say let this detail inform you that Bitcoin is in a class of its own. Bitcoin is not to be compared or contrasted with these other platforms. These other platforms are important for the Web3 space, but Bitcoin fills a completely different gap. So that's why, everybody on DCTV dollar cost averages Bitcoin. I'm not telling you that you need to be doing that, but what I am saying is that it's served us well because you aren't whaled around by emotions. You accumulate your position regardless of market, and it just removes that like emotionally draining layer of buying crypto. Is the price high? Is the price low? And then you end up feeling grief every time you buy something and it wasn't at the bottom. So I don't want that for you. I want you to see this space as a long-term play. And I don't want you to get whaled around by people who know human psychology, because that's what's happening. They know human psychology. They're intentionally trying to pressure you and shake you to get you to fold so that you have to buy back in at a higher price, just because you weren't consistent. So that's my piece on that. So we all know the SEC likes to have maximum law enforcement capabilities available. That's why we got involved, he said, further reporting that the judge did a great thing. He basically looked over to the SEC and said, you agree with him? Everybody was imagining that. Do you agree with Mr. Deaton? This showed that the judge was willing to put his November 7th, 2022 ruling into proper perspective. At that time, he granted summary judgment in favor of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and classified every sale of the LBC token over a 6-year period as an investment contract without dealing the nature of the transactions. Yeah, dude. So buy our DCA on some more Bitcoin. Yep. I mean, in the long run, it's in a different category. So let's just call it like we see it, right? So this opened a door for the SEC to move closer to its goal of getting legitimacy through ruling, to get the legitimacy of regulatory oversight on its secondary markets as well. Yesterday, however, the judge made it clear that the ruling was being misinterpreted by the SEC. Well, interesting. The judge said that the SEC needs to commit to something, no kidding, and described two examples. The judge explained one example in which LBRY sold its LBC token to an investment club that held it in cold storage, okay, a direct sale. The judge said he considered this to be an offering of an unregistered security, and the SEC agreed. And then the judge said, but if Flipside sells it to someone else on the secondary market, independent of LBRY, you have to agree that my order does not apply to this scenario. And that's the victory we got. The SEC had to concede it on the record in real time. And maybe that's the strategy, though. Like, that's kind of what CoffeeZilla had to do with Sam Bankman-Fried. Like, you just have to get people live to actually pick a lane. And if you pressure them correctly, they either look stupid, like they're dragging their feet, or they have to actually pick a lane. So maybe that's the move. Remarkably, the judge turned to Deaton afterward and told him, amicus, I'm going to make it clear that my order does not apply to secondary market sales. That's huge. So this is why the victory is crucial for Ripple and XRP. The judge committed that he would make clear in the final remedy that he is not ruling on secondary markets. The SEC has openly admitted in court that it does not consider secondary sales to be securities. This is a huge partial victory for the entire crypto industry, but also Ripple, as Deaton further commented, this hearing today, if you think we are getting regulations by Congress soon, then the ruling is irrelevant because Congress will give us clarity. If we're not going to get any clarity from Congress, there's not going to be some regulation that says something that defines a security, then this hearing was extremely important. So that's good. So I'm really not confident that the House or Congress, rather, will make that ruling. I think they're going to punt this over to the SEC because there's big money involved in this, and if you piss the wrong people off, I think some people are afraid of that. So at the press time, the XRP price stood at 39 cents, down 3.8% in the last 24 hours. With this, XRP is following the general sentiment in what is likely to be a risk-off move ahead of tomorrow's FOMC meeting. Yeah, so it looks like in general, this space is starting to sculpt, right? None of this, by the way, impacts people who are building things, as long as you're not building yourself into a position you can't pivot from. So, I think everyone should be, if you're not already interested in getting a career in the space and doing something about it, I think you should start looking at how you can educate yourself to position yourself, because what this is showing is that if you are a lawyer and you have a sophistication with cryptocurrency and its intersections with law, you are now a very, very valuable asset. You are now a crypto lawyer. If you are an IT person and you learn these systems that specifically intersect IT and Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in general, you are now a crypto IT guy. If you are a marketing person and you understand the nuance of this crypto space, you are now a crypto marketing person. And anytime you actually know what you're talking about as a industry professional and you add that crypto element to it, everyone's going to want that. You have this opportunity to make yourself so valuable in your career and do things you believe in, actually investing your time and energy into this Web3 space and helping make sure that people have self-custody in the long run. Yeah, JV, dudes, no joke. That the grayscale Bitcoin suit will be an opportunity. I think it will be. I think we don't know exactly where that's going to land just yet. I'm shocked if it. I'm shocked if it goes sideways. Honestly, I'm personally just feeling good about where that's going to land. But um, so no matter what your skill set is, if you're interested in getting some clarity as to like what steps you could be taking to position yourself to be remarkably valuable in the market space, please join our Discord. The link is in the description. Please go in there, talk about it. I'm going to be super active in there. So any questions you ask, any conversations you want to have, I'm available throughout the day, all the time. And I really want to help foster this because if I can help position you to be in a better space in this wobbly economy, then you crush it. And I'm proud to have a friend that is crushing it in the space. And then we both gain expertise and we're able to really help each other professionally and know that we have the same value system. We care about the same things. We're not just doing this for the money. We're doing this because we believe in the power of individuals having sovereignty over their own data, over their own finances, not having to trust the other party they're transacting with. Like these are really deep philosophical matters that I don't think the majority of the people who are dabbling with the technology quite get yet. I don't think they understand it. And so, yeah, that's what co-building is about. We've talked about co-building. My focus this year is to really help point people towards the right resources and just to encourage each other to really stay focused and to crush it. For everyone's perspective, for me, I have a long history of IT engineering and architecture. Okay. That's been my professional background. And right now what I'm doing is I am going through a series of certifications and I'm making content for those certifications to help other people get those certs. But what I'm also doing is I'm adding Web3 elements into that to help give people better understanding. So it's like, yeah, you could take that one certification course, to get your Microsoft security certification, or you could get the crypto slanted one and actually have some more futurist perspectives on how this technology works, not just pass the exam, but understand the context it fits within. Right. So that's my encouragement to you. Start really brainstorming in that way. And let's cut it up together in that Discord. But I'm not going to let this go on too long today. That's all the news I thought was really pertinent for everyone. So thank you so much for spending this morning with me. Go out there and crush it. Keep calm and huddle on, and we'll talk to you on Friday or in the Discord if you're going to hang out sooner than that. So, Data Lord out.